Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday, June 30th, 2019. In both the Lynn life and the Jamie body mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the many rules already given to the search for truth community by wiser minds above all of us. We're supposed to, as part of the instructions for filming, eliminate as many excuses for arguments as possible. And in the past, arguments have literally included things like there are spots on your clothing, and
Yes.
the spots were water droplets, because when we drink from our water bottles, sometimes we spill water on ourselves. And so we're going to explain that you may be able to see some spots on this shirt, that what it was putting insect repellent on, because we're sitting in a wooded area where
Yes,
there's a
that's true.
lake and there's a lot of mosquitoes down here.
Yes.
And it's with essential oils. This is a DEET-free essential oil blend, and so therefore I have spots on my shirt. So
There
I
you
hope
go.
you can come to terms with it. We've been having real problems keeping the portal open
That's true.
this last couple of days, and we've been working with some instructions that have been coming in from wiser minds above about being less unpleasant to work with, and to take that to heart, both
That's
as
true.
individuals and as a collective, as a species. And they were pointing to a filming that occurred sometime in the last several weeks,
Yes, that's true.
where there was a question from humanity, and the wiser minds above were trying to detangle where the confusion was coming from, and they pulled out ignorance and pulled out arrogance, and there was
Yes.
nothing left, and that was a good thing, that there was nothing left.
That's true.
And this morning we were working with that, and we realized they were checking to see if there was any bad intention.
Yes, that's true.
And we believe that if there had been bad intention, that they would have just shut the portal right then, boom. And all there was ignorance and arrogance, no
That's
bad
true.
intention, and therefore the wiser minds above were willing to try again to get through to this experiment of humanity, I guess.
That's true. I think that's what they're talking about.
But somebody's also pointing to other life forms and saying the oppositional defiance is not just in humanity, it's in a lot of different life forms.
That's true.
And the destructiveness is not just in humanity. Elephants, for example, can be really destructive. They just
That's
walk
true.
along and rip up trees to rip it up. Just looks like humans, really.
Yeah,
Looks like
this is
humans
true.
do. And so we really have this intent to not be unpleasant to work with.
That's true.
And we would like to keep the portal open. And so we have come to ask wiser minds above, what now to become less unpleasant to work with? What is it that we can do to be less unpleasant to work with? And almost immediately I see somebody upstairs in a place that's dusty with a lot of files.
Yes, that's true.
A file room or a library. Maybe the Akashic Records.
That's true.
It's an Akashic librarian. Thank you. We'd like to become less unpleasant to work with. What is it we should be focusing on? Maybe he's not answering. What should we be focusing on? How can we become less unpleasant to work with? Well, they're saying you have the clue already. Ignorance, arrogance, and bad intention
That's
are the
true.
three things they're looking for. And so if you're ignorant, then become a more coachable student, become a better student.
That's true.
If you're arrogant, become a better student.
That's true.
And if you have bad intentions, this isn't the right place for you.
That's true.
So they're saying become a better student, be more coachable. Be more coachable. Okay. Thank you. We're here to learn. Please tell us. How can we become less unpleasant to work with? Spend less time with humans.
That's true.
And as a collective of humanity, how can we become less unpleasant to work with? Because we really have this troublesome situation where the oppositional defiance seems to be in the atoms, literally in the atoms.
That's true.
Of the biosphere. It's everywhere. And we have these astral dimensions that are crawling with dead people.
That's
who
true.
are pretending to be God. And they're making it a lot harder, so much worse, for those who are even trying to connect with God. What about those of us who are interested in God? How can we become less unpleasant to work with? We could take more responsibility.
That's what they're
says.
saying, taking responsibility.
Yeah. Taking responsibility for solving the enormous problems of our times.
That's what they're talking about.
The solutions are not complex. They just have to happen.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. Thank you. Thank you. In that space of angels and godly presences, now it's starting to open up above the library.
Yes, it is.
It's like the roof of the library is kind of coming apart.
Yes, that's true.
And now we're able to see someone above there. Can you see how it is when we ask up and then we get dead people? And I mean no disrespect to that Akashic Records custodian, not at all. But when we're asking that question, can you see how it is? What do we do about these intervening astral dimensions?
That's a good question.
How can we bring divinity and density? They don't want to bring
They
divinity
don't want to do
and
that up
density
there.
and closer connection, I see. Well, and I can follow their point. They're saying you're too revolting.
That's true.
Which we understand.
That's true.
So they like the kind of cushion or barricade
Of the clouds of dead people
of the clouds
and the
of dead
intervening
people
dimensions.
thank you.
That's true. They're saying like it keeps your stench kind of down.
Controlled. I understand. Well, how do we get a training program that works then to get presences on ground zero planet Earth to look up to wiser minds above and ask up to wiser minds above, what now? What should I be doing right now? And also this day, this week, this month, this year, this 5 years, what should I be doing with my life? And then, of course, to do what wiser minds above say to do, when they say to do it, the way in which they say to do it, as if we intended to succeed or as if we intended to excel.
Yeah, that's true.
How do we get a training program that encourages that for us and for everybody? We think we've really got to shorten these karmic cycles. We
That's
just think
what someone is talking about who might be in that spaceship where Saul and Isis were.
it is a bouncing spaceship.
And they've got these graphs and they're saying, I'm telling you, it's all about the karmic cycles. It's all about shortening the karmic cycles. And it feels like they're putting a bunch of data on the table.
Heavy weight, lots of data.
Yeah.
Right? What can we do, please, to shorten the karmic cycles? We know the energetic motion, and it feels kind of like the motion of grooming the karmic records. And it feels kind of like the motion of reallocating our own deeper, denser dimension resources.
Yes, it does.
It's similar to both of those motions. It's a vertical grooming motion. And we've been doing this for months. Maybe a year.
Maybe a year.
Working. We've been doing that grooming motion
for a big
many
long
years.
time,
Many
long time.
years. Many years. and with intent to shorten the karmic cycles for maybe a year, maybe?
Yeah, I think
give
that's
or take,
true.
maybe. What now to shorten the karmic cycles for each of us as individuals, for Ground Zero Planet Earth, for the whole collective of this Dimension Planet Combo Pack? What now? Again, they're talking about ignorance, arrogance, and bad intention.
Yes, they are.
And our Ra used to talk about the vast bell curve of intention and awareness,
That's
and someone
true.
is pointing to that vast bell curve of intention and awareness, and that the tails of the bell curve are where it's easiest to discern karmic applicability. I can't quite tell who's talking, but somebody's pointing to the vast bell curve of intention and awareness,
I feel that
and talking
person's
about the
talking.
tails of the bell curve and how it's easier to determine karmic applicability on the tails of the bell curve, that in the center of the bell curve it's kind of tricky.
Yes. They're talking about this error of pretending that not stopping bullying isn't siding with bullying, and they're talking about the tails of the bell curve of intention and awareness.
Yes. And that when we see bullying occurring and we don't speak up for the dispossessed or the voiceless or the oppressed, that we are ourselves becoming a bully through affiliation, through our silence.
And they're talking about something they were talking about earlier today, where they're saying there's this big mistake that presences of all varieties make, where the standard to which we hold ourselves is not being the worst person in the room. And so, in terms of this discussion of the vast bell curve of intention and awareness, someone in that higher dimension room is saying that if we go around living our lives holding ourselves only to the standard that we're not the worst person in the whole room, we're still going to slide toward the worst end of the tail of the bell curve.
Right. The bad side of the bell curve.
The bad side of the bell curve.
Right. Well, and we know that they talk about the combination of wishful thinking and laziness, and how we think, well, I'm not the worst person in the room, but everybody in the room is thinking I'm not the worst person in the room, and somebody's got to be the worst person in the room, and odds are good they're thinking they aren't the worst person in the room. And so
that feels true.
To let's not hold that as the standard, because it doesn't work, and to really try to excel. And our Ra used to talk about how important it was to try to excel, and that if we weren't trying to excel, that we were part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Yes, that's true.
Right, so we're supposed to be working harder to try to excel, set higher standards.
That's true, and that would make someone less unpleasant to deal with.
And to stand up for those who are being bullied. And
That's
if we're
true.
not standing up for those who are being bullied, then we're siding with the bullies and karmically sliding down into that bad curve, bad side of the bell curve.
That's what they're saying in that higher dimension room of godly presences.
Thank you. Affiliated with Planet Earth. They desperately want to be able to salvage something.
That's true.
But they don't want to even keep a portal open to humanity.
No.
So it might be that they need to come to terms with not salvaging anything, because I don't see how to make it better if we don't have any higher vibrations down here.
That's true.
How's it going to improve without higher vibrations? How is it going to improve without higher vibrations? Can you help us understand? Because there's no upward flow, and so there's nothing to blow the channels up to you guys. The channels are just stuck in the drac, and they get tangled up with each other and dragged down, and it's a circular parade to destruction, and there's oppositional defiance in the atoms and thugs in the astrals. And
that's true.
I just think that it sounds like wishful thinking to think that it's going to change without higher vibrations coming into this dimension. I'm not sure who's talking, but they feel like they've been working on this project for a long time.
That's true.
They're looking around at the dimension and saying, we need higher vibrations down here. Nothing's going to improve. Do you know that humans live in garbage dumps, like literally live in landfills in places like Indonesia, and there were villages in China that were set up, and supposedly this was all to handle the recycling, but what was really happening is the wealthy countries were literally shipping garbage overseas, and people are living in it, literally living in garbage, and that's just humans, and that doesn't count all the other life forms.
No, that's true.
That are also living in garbage, literal garbage. Do you know that? Somebody says, we know how to clear a room.
Yeah, that's true. It could be someone in that spaceship where Saul and Isis are working.
Well, how is it going to change? It's an actual real question.
That's a good question.
How is it going to change? I'm not sure who's talking.
I don't know.
But they're saying the spiritual leaders have abdicated responsibility. They're supposed to be, their job is to act as the conscience for humanity, and they're just chasing dollars, and they're not acting as a conscience. Humanity's conscience is silent, and bullying is happening everywhere, and the so-called spiritual leaders aren't doing anything. How is it going to change without higher vibrations down here? I really want to know. We're being unpleasant to work with.
That's what they just said.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they just said. Like they were shouting, standing far away from the portal and shouting toward the portal. You're being unpleasant to work with.
I hear it. I'm sorry.
Now what?
But how is it going to change without higher vibrations? I really am hung up on that.
It's a good question.
What now?
What now?
What now to reopen a portal?
It's just really quiet.
It's really quiet. Well, somebody's saying, what do you know? We know that humanity isn't changing, and the data is really, really consistent since we began the teaching effort in 2007. It's been 12 years, and the data is super consistent. And before that, there was another, I don't know, a long time of teaching. Teaching in the healing practice, individually, one-on-one, helping clients. And the whole thing is 29 years of effort. This effort's 29 years, and the data's all super consistent. Nothing changes. People don't want to do it. And there's all these dead people around here who don't even know they're dead.
That's true.
And they are an enormous problem. And what do we know? We know in the healing practice, when you start working with a new client, everything is an enormous mess, and there's so many problems, and it's wonderful fun because you can start anywhere and do anything, and the situation improves.
Yeah.
And that's how it is here. There's just so much wrong. We could start anywhere and do anything, but we've got to start getting these problems out of here, or nothing's going to change. And how about the dead people who don't know they're dead? Can we get them out of here?
I don't hear anything.
No, I don't hear anything. I think they closed the portal. And
that's what that feels like. Like they put the manhole cover back over the big hole.
It's closed. Friends, we really need to take this to heart as a species, as a collective, as individuals. When the divine presences don't want to keep a portal open to our dimensions, we're in big trouble. That's true. This is really bad. This is not a good sign. They're really upset with us as a collective, and they want for these two hosts' lives to kind of like barricade themselves and have nothing whatsoever to do with anybody other than
Oh,
the
yeah.
other members of our community, basically.
Like, no,
It's like
don't
nothing.
have any contact with
contact.
anything else.
No contact with anybody else. Everybody
Yes.
else, treat them like they have the most contagious, awful, terrible disease in the world.
Yeah.
And stay away from everybody else. Everybody means everybody.
Everybody.
No kidding. Everybody.
Yeah.